The Kansas City Chiefs will be the first team to go 17-0. Is this an overreaction or not?
I would say it's an overreaction, but as always, I'm excited to hear your reasoning and lay it on me. I'm all ears.
Okay, so I was just kind of looking around at the Chiefs. They're 6-0, the only undefeated team in the NFL. We know Patrick Mahomes has not been playing his best football right now. I believe he is tied for the league in interceptions. But when I started to look at the remaining schedule, I was like, oh, this could actually happen. They play Las Vegas twice, okay? Division rivals. We know Las Vegas has had their numbers here and again. They have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who Godwin's gone for the year. Mike Evans is, I would assume, gone for maybe a month with the way he pulled up with that hamstring. Then you have Denver, who has been playing well, but I still think with the Chiefs' defense and what they have on offense, they can outscore Denver. Buffalo will be probably the hardest team on the schedule outside of the last two. Then we have Carolina, the Chargers, who they already beat, Cleveland, which is a shit show. Then they have Houston and Pitt. I mean, yes, I think they're going to go 17-0? No. But when you look at the fact that the Chiefs have the 23rd hardest schedule remaining, they're 7th in point differential, they have the 4th least points allowed in the league, 4th in run yards per game allowed on defense, the 4th least, I should say, 11th in EPA per play on defense. And then we go to the offensive side of the ball, right? This is where we know they've kind of been struggling, especially in the pass game. Mahomes is 13th in EPA per drop back on offense. So maybe it is a little bit overblown. They're 3rd in EPA per rush on offense and the lowest run stuff rate in the league on offense at 8.5%, which is the only team in single digits. They're also 1st in rushing success rate, and they are the only team over 50% in rushing success rate in the league. This is all while Isaiah Pacheco and Rashee Rice are out. I know Rashee Rice is a wide receiver, but you would assume that they know that their star wide receivers are out, so they're just going to run the ball a lot. With all this factor, and with the idea that Mahomes is probably going to turn it on here at some point, I don't see why the idea of KC going 17-0 is completely out of the question.
No, absolutely not. Again, look, I'm never going to sit here and say, I don't care what team it is. I'm never going to sit here and say a team I think is going to go 17-0. Because again, as we emphasize all the time, it is in any given Sunday league. And it's sometimes it's right when you least expect it. You're like, okay, yeah,
that's Carolina Panthers may take a game.
But that's that's why they're professional. That's why they get paid the big bucks. It makes sense, right? It's just the way things go inherently. But to all your points, look, the bottom line is this. I think this is what people need to understand, which is why it should be scary that it's a possibility. As we just discussed, look, and again, like I always say, we can have Mahomes on right now and he would agree with us. The offense is not playing good football right now. They're not playing bad necessarily, but they're certainly not playing good. And to the point of, Mahomes' turnovers aren't looking good right now, but that's the whole kind of thing is, we know this isn't going to go on forever. This is kind of like one of those things where you're like, they're going through a slump, but they're going to turn it on. And on top of that, the defense, I don't think is going to slow down. This is the best defense the Chiefs have had in the Mahomes tenure. And I don't really think it's necessarily close. This is, like I was saying the other day when we were talking behind the scenes, look, this is really starting to turn into like Patriots dynasty level type of stuff that's going on. Like this is like before it was kind of like,
really is.
It was like, because that's how it used to be, was where, the old narrative would be like, well, it doesn't matter what the defense is going to do because Mahomes is going to turn up at the end of the game and they're going to figure it out. And Andy Reid's going to dial up something crazy and they're going to find a way to win the game through the offense. But it's funny because that's not been the narrative all this year. It's actually been quite the opposite. It's been like, the offense is going to slump through, but the defense is going to find a way to get as many stops as they need to get. They're going to find a way to force turnovers and they're going to find a way to win through the defense. When that's the case and the offense isn't playing good ball, and we've never seen a Chiefs defense play this good, my God, it is concerning for the rest of the league. And look, call for what it is too on top of all that. They've been hitting on all the draft picks. They've been hitting on all the free agent signings. And like to close it out on the defense, look, Chris Jones, getting him re-signed was just a masterclass. And I don't know if we'd be sitting here saying all this if they didn't. Getting Chris Jones back. Everybody who knows football knows how important Chris Jones is to what the Chiefs do in their operation. But my God, I'll say that Chris Jones is one of the most underrated. He's still one of the most underrated players of our generation because he doesn't get the respect he deserves. He is such a key cog in what the Chiefs do and what the Chiefs dynasty has become that the bottom line is to round it all out, look, what the Chiefs are doing is not just Patrick Mahomes, right? Before, it was kind of the narrative that it was just all Mahomes, it's all Andy Reid. But as we can see, it's not. It's Spags. It's what this defense does. It's the identity that this team plays with on a week in, week out basis. And to your points, Hunter, they're not playing as good as they can. So they certainly could be the first team to go 17-0. Is it likely? No, just from the inherent is not likely at all. No matter how good you are, they could be the greatest team in history and it's still not likely. But it certainly is a possibility. And when they're not playing as good as they should, that should scare every NFL fan in the league.
I think one of the big things, too, is if you look at who they already played, they kind of got by a lot of the people that you would see as losses. The Ravens, the Bengals, the Falcons, the 49ers, like they already beat all those teams. So now they have teams, like Buffalo, like Houston, like Pitt, who are, in my opinion, like good, very good teams. But I don't have them in the same breath as like the Ravens and the 49ers, at least coming into the year. The 49ers are dealing with their, issues, but I'll tell you what, I'd much rather play the 49ers in week 7, week 6, instead of week 15, 16 when they're trying to solidify a playoff seed. So I don't know. I think the big thing too, Daz, we hear time and time again, like defense wins championships. You have to be able to run the ball. And the things that are essential to winning games, the Chiefs are very, very, very good at. So imagine once Mahomes is able to put it on, the offense from the passing standpoint starts to put it on. I don't know how you stop this team. You have one of the best defenses in the league and one of the best run games with Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt and Samaje Perine. This is your run game. Like, once Isaiah Pacheco comes back, I could only imagine what this run game is going to look like.
Well, no, absolutely. And I just want to say this too, Hunter, because, I'm always very big on this. And, to kind of contrast that, we could use the Lions as like a reverse example. Again, I know Ben Johnson said he still has a lot of tricks up the sleeve, but again, you're going to get what I'm going for here. I think Andy Reid understands that it's like, yeah, our personnel is pretty limited. We're not going to pull all of our big shots out when we don't have to. Like, we're going to make the playoffs. We're going to win enough games to get there, no matter what. So we know that, barring something tragic, which I'm not going to speak into existence. You get what I'm saying? Like, they know they're a playoff team. They're going to get there. And from that standpoint, you say to yourself, like, okay, I don't need to pull out a lot of tricks right now. I don't need to show my hand right now. They're going to save a lot of their good stuff, what they think is their good stuff, for the playoffs. And that's kind of how I'm looking at the Chiefs this year. It's like, yeah, they don't need to pull out a lot of flashy, fun stuff on offense right now. But I guarantee you, come playoff time, Andy Reid is going to open up the playbook and layer out everything that they have. Where everyone's going to be shocked. And where was this in the regular season? Well, this is what good coaches do. They don't want to show their hand early. They don't want to. There's no point in pulling out the greatest stuff in your playbook when you're winning games by a heavy margin. When you're fine. I mean, that's kind of just the bottom line at this point. The Chiefs don't have to pull out their best stuff. They haven't pulled out their best stuff. Given the limited personnel, they're going to save it for when it really matters. And that's kind of just how the Chiefs are, if you really understand what's going on at this point. Like, I don't think we're going to hit a point this year where we're like seeing Xavier Worthy go for 200 yards or, seeing anything like, oh, we're going to throw to Kelsey 14 times and empty the playbook out. I think they're going to save all that stuff for the playoffs because they kind of understand they have to at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, like, to everything we said, look, the personnel is limited right now. This is the most bare bones, per se, offense the Chiefs have had.
But they did it last year. They did it last year. I mean, I know Rashee Rice was a rookie, but they had less than they had this year. Hollywood Brown hurts, and you look at the team, like, Juju Smith-Schuster was playing well. McCole Hardman has always been good for the Chiefs. And then Xavier Worthy, like, he can come on later in the year. He's still a rookie. Kelsey's there. Like, while it is bare bones, a lot of people seem to forget or don't want to acknowledge that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl in a rebuilding year. This is a better team than it was last year from a roster standpoint. Like, to be 6-0 at this point in the season and then look where the next opponents on your schedule have a combined record of 25-32, like 17-0 is somewhat of a reality if they play their cards right on offense.
Well, yeah, and look, to that point, as we always say, to kind of close out here, but and we know we're both on the same page about this. Look, good coaches don't need a bunch of weapons to win. Good quarterbacks don't need a bunch of weapons to win. They need a good scheme, which is what the Chiefs have, and they need a good O-line. And look, the Chiefs' interior is as good as anybody's. I don't think there's anybody who's rocking with the interior of the Chiefs, right? Like Creed Humphrey, Joe Tooney, Trey Smith. I mean, they're unbelievable, and they do magic on the interior. Yeah, look, Jawan Taylor and Wanya Morris and Kingsley, whatever they decide to do going forward on the left side. Yeah, they're not the greatest tackle combination. They're quite far from it. But Mahomes makes it work. They're not tragically bad to the point where you're like, okay, they're a complete liability. The Chiefs are going to make it work from the trenches. They're going to make it work from the personnel standpoint. And that's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. And I know it's really trendy right now. Like, people are having discussions like, is Mahomes falling off? This, that, and the third. It's like, I just sometimes I just can't with people because it's like, again, we act like we've never seen quarterbacks go through bad stretches. Everyone always wants to play such recency bias. If you really know ball, you don't play the recency bias game unless it's been years upon years of the same result. Then it starts to become a point you can say, okay, let's have a discussion. There's no discussion to be had on Mahomes right now. He's playing with, again, to the point, shaky personnel, and he's not playing the best ball himself. You'll be the first to admit that. But if you think he's not going to get out of this slump, I just think you're tweaking really hard to come out and say it publicly. You can think it in the back of your head, but he's going to make you look bad. It's not worth coming out and saying it.
Let me ask you this, Dobbs. For anybody who says that Mahomes is in a slump or Mahomes is falling off, I'll ask you one question. If you were to start an NFL franchise today and you got to pick any quarterback you wanted to start for you that's active right now, every single person would pick Mahomes. And if you don't pick Mahomes, you are lying to yourself.
Well, yeah, you're also fired if you don't pick Mahomes too. So you're lying. You're a liar and you're fired. So,
but thank you guys so much for watching. This has been You Don't Know Ball. If you don't know ball, want to know ball, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, let us know in the comments if you think there is any chance that the Chiefs can go 17-0. I think it is a possibility. Do I think it's super likely? No, because very few teams, if any, go undefeated. So, interested to see what you guys have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your night.